We are at that time of year again where I'm doing tier lists and end of year reviews. And one thing I learned last year is that I need to start even sooner this year. So here goes the first end of year tier list for visual note taking apps. And I did visual note taking apps tier lists a little while ago, but I've changed things up a little bit, both on how I will rank these, but also the fact that I have decided not to include note-taking applications with visual elements. So Obsidian, Craft, Logsec, to mention a few, they they have a whiteboarding feature. They have a visual element to them, but they are not visual note-taking apps. That's not their main selling point. If I remove the visual part out of those applications, they will still function, while if I remove the visual aspect out of these applications, they will disappear. They will have no unique selling point at all. And we are going to start with, actually, let's start with Milanote. And Milanote is the one that has been around the longest, and it does really, really well with images, file types, project management in general. Where it struggles a bit is like with regular note taking. They have spent most of this year actually trying to develop or not develop, but trying to make the application a bit faster, and therefore there hasn't been any new features, and there has been a slow development, especially in the last 2 quarters of the year. There hasn't been any like major updates or any new features or anything apart from like your whiteboards or your boards being faster, which is important. And I understand that it takes time, but that is something that the user will get annoyed with, not having or seeing a roadmap that is full of ideas and things that are planned, but not seeing any of those plans actually coming out can be really annoying for the user. But it is a stable application. It is really good. There are a couple of things lacking, like offline mode, at least an offline view mode, as well as a mobile application that is actually visual. The mobile application for Milanote is basically useless, so I'm going to give it a tier because I have been playing around with it extensively, and especially the lack of a functioning visual mobile application is really annoying. And I have used the mobile application a lot, but it just doesn't seem to give me anything. It's hard to find the right thing, it's hard to find the right boards, so I've mainly used it for quick capturing. Let's actually go ahead and take a look at Scrintal, which is another application that is struggling a little bit with mobile applications. They recently introduced Scrintal AI, which I will do a review on quite soon, hopefully. But it is lacking in a few ways. The major one is that there is no mobile application, and that is really important for most people. And Scrintal, even though they did a total like renewal of the application and released their new version of Scrintal, which is the second version of Scrintal, uh, which I think is really good. Don't get me wrong, I think that the new Scrintal offers a lot. It is really a playground for your mind, which is what they are calling it, because you have the ability to both use things like notes and note cards, but also it does really well with images, just like Milanote does. Where this application lacks is the fact that there is no mobile application and there is no good search. So search, this is highly personal, but I think that when I search for something, it should highlight the text I'm searching for. So if I'm searching for something within a card, it should highlight that specific thing. Scrintal does not do that right now. And I find it a little bit annoying that it isn't here yet, that that is not a point they're focusing on, because I think search is really important, but I think the general feel of the application is really, really good. So I'm going to give it B tier, and I'm really hoping that they improve a few things, especially the search, but also gets at least a capture application for mobile. Let's jump into Heptabase. Heptabase is, or at least it was similar to Scrintal previously, but they are a little more different now, where Scrintal tries to focus more on like images and different file types and more of a whiteboarding experience. The whiteboards inside of a Heptabase are mainly to actually use for your note cards. They don't do well with anything apart from like PDFs, which Heptabase is really good at. They have an amazing PDF reader. This is amazing for a visual person that wants to take written notes, so not images mainly, but mainly like written text notes on note cards. There is no better option than Heptabase. The application is quite stable. They are doing a lot of good things with the development. They are now at a stage where they have implemented all of the main like big features, so they are doing slight improvements every time, and every note-taking app gets to that point at some point in their lives. So this is there right now. So you could say that this is more developed than many of the other options, especially Scrintal and things like Constella and many of the other options we have here. But uh, I think they are doing a lot of things right. They also have databases, so this is S tier, and I have been loving it. They have a great mobile application. It is probably the, as of right now, the best like visual note-taking app. However, it also could do with some improvements when it comes to images and different file types and being that sort of visual as well. But I don't think that Heptabase has that as a goal, and I love the fact that they know what they want to be. Something, for example, Scrintal has struggled with figuring out what are we going to be and where are we going to go. So that is a problem a few note-taking applications have. Next up, we have Mymind, and Mymind is it is a really visual application. It doesn't work for everyone, and that there is a few reasons why. The main one is that there is no like real organization here. There is no proper way to organize. You have like smart collections or smart folders, which do an okay job at organizing, but it is not like in Heptabase where you can put things into databases to find them later, or in Milanote you can put them into boards to find them later. It is a little different. It uses tags, but you have to actually search for the tags and you get to see all of your notes in a timeline view. So this feels a little different compared to a lot of the other like visual note-taking apps on this list, because it has no organization and it uses AI to help you find the thing. It has an amazing web clipper. One of the issues I've had with this application is over capturing, because it is so easy to capture things, and that is mainly a me problem and not a Mymind problem. So I think that this also deserves to be at the top here, because it is such a good and beautiful application. I know that some people have experienced bugs inside of here. I haven't, so I am deciding that this is actually S tier. Now it is walling, and walling is I think I made a video where I said that this could be my favorite application, but it just doesn't work. Walling changed their CEO this year, and the last 2 quarters of this year, they've spent time actually trying to rebuild the application and onboard a new engineering team. But I think that they are doing a terrible job at communicating to their community. that is the first thing. But when it comes to like the features and how the application works and why I think it is so bad, I had an experience here where I tried to copy paste, which is one of the most basic things you want to do in a note taking application. I want to press Control C and then press Control V. That did not work. It did not paste it back in with the same structure as I had written it in. So it would change the block. So the title would end up after the last paragraph. The last paragraph would end up in the middle of the text. And it was a terrible experience. And when an application can't seem to figure out those like most basic things, I find it really hard to recommend and try it out. I still think that with a new CEO and a lot of work, this can become a top tier application because the idea is so good. They have like OCR, which is something that just Mymind has on this list. The ability to search for images is something Mymind has and something Walling has. But it just doesn't work. If this would work, it would probably be S or A tier, but as of right now, I think it's E tier. It could even be down here in F tier, but I will be patient with this since it has had a few issues, so we will just have to wait and see. Now we are jumping into some of the newer applications. So xtiles is a weird one because it is a visual application and I've seen it used in a visual way, but it is also a huge Notion competitor with the databases. The first time I checked out this application, it looked really different from what it looks now. And I really like the idea of this, but I feel like if the databases are the main selling point, like having things inside of databases and then having some visual elements, I'm struggling to see what this offers compared to things like Notion, because you can just use Notion for the databases instead if that is the main selling point. But on the other hand, I see some of the like, because it is named xtiles and the point is that you put tiles on top of a whiteboard in order to create notes and get that visual element. I still think that the idea lacks a little bit, but I have seen people build some beautiful things out of this, and I guess it's just my personal thoughts on this. The fact that I feel like databases are the main selling point here, but others might feel like it is actually the tiles that you place. So let's put this as B tier. I think that is right. I think it is at the level of Scrintal. It would probably end up in between here because it is not as good as Milanote, but I think it is a little bit better than Scrintal, but not enough to put it as A tier. It has an amazing mobile application, though. That is something I really like about it. Now it is time for Constella, and this is also just like Walling, an amazing idea. This is all about AI auto tagging things, great search functionality with AI to find exactly the thing you are looking for, but it is at such an early stage, and I feel like it is a little unfair to include it, but I wanted to include it because I think people should know that this application exists, and I think it will end up becoming really good if they can keep on developing this because the idea is really good. So as of right now, with the lack of features, the bugs, the application not working properly, the Windows application crashing and things like that, I think it is probably D tier, and I'm going to be kinder towards this compared to Walling because Walling has been around for a few years. It is not a beta application where Constella is that, so I will cut it some slack and put it as a D tier. Now we have an application called Noteey, and I find this one a little weird because the application is amazing and it is sort of like Heptabase, but it has a bit more. it has a bit more focus towards like images and being more of a whiteboarding experience. But the problem I have with this is that the UI looks exactly, and when I say exactly, I mean exactly like Noteey, like Heptabase. Sorry. So this might, for some people, feel like a copy. I wouldn't call it a copy. I would say that it looks really, really, really similar, but it has some few things that actually makes it stand out a little bit. This is an application I think that if it could change its UI at least a little bit away from looking like just an offline Heptabase, I think this could become really good. One other thing I like about it is that there isn't a subscription to use the application, and when I tested it out, I didn't find any like major issues, but it still may lack some features, but I think this one also fits into B tier. I think it is a really good idea, everything except from the UI. And I think it deserves to be looked at in 2025. The last two is Napkin Notes, which is it is a little different because this is also highly focused towards text and not images. And it is a very specific application. The way this works is that you have like an infinite canvas where you put cards on top of, and the cards have a hard character limit, so they can't be too long. And the AI will then connect your cards together. Amazing idea. The execution is quite good as well, but the development has been a little slow on this. I tested it out again a couple of weeks ago, and I felt like the application was really, really good. I've never had any issues, but it still feels like there hasn't been like major improvements from the first time. That might be just me not using it enough. But if I were to like just talk about and look at the application as it is today, I would say that this comes in together with Milanote. I think it is at that level. And it is just a really good experience and fun to use as well, but it won't be an application for me since I work so much with images. But if you are looking for a place to capture ideas, then this might be the application for you. So this is quite similar to Constella, but as of right now, Napkin is a lot better. But I think that Constella can get there as well. Last application on this list is actually Affine. I still haven't learned how to say this. This probably is one of the best ideas I've seen in the visual note-taking space. The idea here is that you can have whiteboards and you can look at your data, your text in a whiteboard. And when you make changes in the whiteboard, you also get changes in the page. That is something none of the others do. And that is what makes this application great. It has things like databases as well, not as powerful as Notion databases, but it has them and it has pages. But the main selling point is that you can turn those pages into edgeless mode, which is what they call it, which is basically just whiteboards, and you can use those whiteboards to manage your text. And once you're finished and you go back to the page mode, the changes will actually appear in the page mode as well. This is still in a really early stage, but I think the application is quite good. There are a few bugs the last time I experienced it. I think this one, when it is fully developed, will be up here, but as of right now, I think it is a little behind the other ones just because of the bugs I've experienced. And in general, I feel like it is a little hard in the visual note-taking space because a lot of these are new players, like xtiles isn't too old. Scrintal recently released their new version, like Napkin is still new. Constella is really new, Affine is really new. This is an evolving place. Even something like Heptabase is really new, but this is an evolving space in the note-taking and PKM space. So I am excited to see next year if these applications continue to develop, and that is also why I talk so much about development when I'm picking where to place these, because I think that the development going into the next year and the next couple of years will be really important to figure out which application will actually win together with Heptabase and Mymind, because I think that we can fit at least two more. We can fit at least one more for text-based note taking, and I think that we can fit one more for like visual, more images and different files and PDFs and things like that. More like design aspects of visual note taking. I think we can fit one more of those in there as well. That was it for today's tier list, this year's visual note taking app tier list. If you have any questions, anything you want to discuss, comment down below. And also keep in mind that these are, of course, my personal thoughts, and note taking is highly, highly personal. I'm just trying to convey my thoughts out there for you. Thank you so, so much for watching. Any questions, leave them down below. I hope you enjoyed this video.